On today's show, the regular season is over and the real season is here. We'll take a look back and a look forward on today's edition of Locked On Cavs.
You are Locked On Cavs, your daily Cleveland Cavaliers podcast.
Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, everybody? My name is Danny Cunningham. You might know me from my time covering the Cleveland Cavaliers, places like my Substack, The Inside Shot, Cleveland Magazine, 92.3 The Fan, and a number of other stops along the way. I want to say thank you to you for making Locked On Cavs your first listen today and every day. You can find the show anywhere you get your podcasts, Apple, Spotify, anywhere else. Drop us a 5-star rating. Leave us a nice review. Be a friend. Tell a friend about Locked On Cavs. Make sure you're subscribed. Make sure a friend is subscribed as well. And if you're watching the show on YouTube, do me a favor, hit that thumbs up button for me, click subscribe, and hit that notification bell as we get started here so you don't miss the latest Locked On Cavs content, a proud part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. And today's episode brought to you by FanDuel, because right now, new FanDuel customers can get $250 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. It's $250 in bonus bets with a winning first $5 bet. The Cleveland Cavaliers wrapped up the 2024-2025 regular season on Sunday with a 126-118 loss in double overtime to the Indiana Pacers. In this game, there were some things that stood out, but of course, nobody that is going to be in the playoff rotation on a game one regular basis as it's planned out played in this game. Jarrett Allen, the exception there. He played 41 seconds for the Cavs, attempted a three, missed said three, committed a take foul, sat on the bench, went back into the locker room. By the time they were doing the end of game festivities, Jarrett was in street clothes. He was no longer wearing the uniform that he started the day in. That was obviously part of the plan so that Jarrett could play in all 82 games. He accomplished that. Congratulations to him. Certainly something worth celebrating. He also became the first NBA player to qualify for free throw percentage leaderboard and field goal percentage leaderboard to shoot 70% from the field or better, and 70% from the free throw line or better. First time that has ever happened in NBA history. Really, really cool thing. I had a nice feature about Jarrett Allen that I wrote over my Substack, The Inside Shot. If you want to check that out, the link to my Substack is in the episode description. But his teammates all had a lot of really, really nice things to say about Jarrett. And the fact that he was able to accomplish this, I think, is a really cool thing. Also think that it was for the best. He did not play in this game. I do want to spend a few minutes talking about this actual game because there was a game played and, there were some good things. There were some bad things. There were some things just worth talking about that I want to get into. And then we are going to talk about the season as a whole because the Cavs finished 64-18. It is the second best record in franchise history. We've got a little bit of time today because tomorrow we'll be talking about the play-in and we will be looking ahead to the playoffs, which we're going to do at the end of this episode, but that's going to be more of what this week is about. So I just want to spend a little bit of time coming up in the next segment reflecting on what this season has been like for the Cavs. But as far as the game itself goes, so the Cavs rolled out a starting five. As I mentioned, Jarrett Allen played 41 seconds. Javonte Green, the only other guy really in this starting five that might be counted on at some point to play serious playoff minutes. He played 19 minutes, thought he played fine. Craig Porter Jr. played 43 minutes. He had 20 points, but he had 7 turnovers, which was certainly the downside for him. Jaylon Tyson played 46 minutes, career high 31 points. I thought Jaylon did some good things. He had 5 turnovers. That was the downside, but 31 points, 7 rebounds, 4 assists, 3 steals, a block. Overall, I thought that this was a really good game from Jaylon Tyson, and he has gotten some opportunities in the last week. In New York, he played against the Pacers. I didn't think he played well in either of those games. And I do think that it's tough to be in Jaylon Tyson's shoes right now to really not get much playing time throughout the year, especially as the Cavs get ready for the postseason and then be tasked with coming off the bench in, a spot like he was when guys were out against the Pacers last week, like he was on Friday night in a spot against the Knicks. That's a really tough thing to come in, and especially with, I think, the type of player Jaylon Tyson is, like, he is at his best right now. Not saying he's always going to be like this, but right now he's at his best when he can have the basketball in his hands. And when he's playing alongside the regular rotation for the Cavs, that is obviously not something they're going to ask him to do, because at this point there are better options than giving the ball to Jaylon Tyson all the time. But I do think that he looks much more comfortable. Like, I thought he looked better today because he was able to have a higher usage rate than what he can do when the Cavs have, their normal allotment of guys, and he's the 9th or 10th guy filling in for a role player that's hurt. When he kind of has this opportunity, I think that we have seen him take advantage of this at times. Like, think back to the game he started earlier this year against New Orleans, where he looked really good in that game. So I thought the fact that he was able to go off for 31, and and the Cavs lost this game partially because the reserves ran out of gas. Like, Tyson played 46 minutes. Naquan Tomlin, who fouled out of this game, played 47 minutes. Craig Porter Jr. played 43 minutes. Tristan Thompson played 43 minutes. Amani Bates played 42 minutes. Luke Travers played 28 minutes. Like, this was not what we're used to seeing. We're not used to seeing those guys obviously play minutes anywhere near this, if at all. So I think it is very understandable that they ran out of gas a little bit. But I do think Tyson was good. I was really happy with what we saw from Naquan Tomlin. I thought he was pretty good in this game. He had 24 points, did take 21 shots, was only 2 of 8 from 3. So it's not as if he was super efficient, but went up and got 12 rebounds. Like I said, fouled out. He was a +9 in the 46 minutes that he played. And I thought that this was certainly I still think a very raw prospect, but I think that this is something that, if he can, and we're not going to see him play again. Two-way players are not eligible for the playoffs. So we won't see Naquan Tomlin play again this year. We won't see Monty Bates. We won't see Luke Travers play again this year. But I think this could be something good for Naquan Tomlin to build upon. Amani Bates hit 7 threes, had 25 points, 6 rebounds too, which I do think that for Amani to be a certified NBA player, which I'm a little unsure upon just because I don't know if he's quick enough. Like, he can shoot the lights out, man. Like, he is an awesome shooter. I just do wonder whether or not he can do some of the other things well enough, or if he's going to be, such a great shooter that you have to keep him on the floor at a certain point. Like, I don't know if we're ever going to get there. But the fact that he grabbed 6 rebounds, I take as a positive sign. And shout out to Tristan Thompson, man, because Tristan is obviously at the point in his career where he is contributing more to this team in the locker room than he is on the floor. I think he's a very big contributor in that locker room. I think he's somebody that this group really does rely upon to be a leader. But in game 82, it means, Tristan Thompson's going to need to play some minutes when nobody else is playing. So for him to go on out there, play 42 minutes, collect 20 rebounds, had 2 block shots and a steal as well. I thought that was I thought it was about as good of a game as you can expect from Tristan Thompson. I thought it was a good thing he got the opportunity to play. And, I do think that having, even if he's not what he once was, I do think that having a veteran presence like him out there during this game was probably a boost to some of the younger guys that were playing in not their first NBA game, but this was a career high in minutes for just about everybody today. It was a career high for Naquan, a career high for Jaylon. Craig Porter Jr., I believe it was a career high. Monty Bates, it was obviously a career high. Luke Travers, like, all of those guys played a career high in minutes. So to be able to share the floor with somebody who has as much experience as Tristan Thompson, I do think was a good thing. The Cavs led by as many as 27 points, and I was really impressed with what they did against the Pacers regulars because, Indiana didn't play their key players. They didn't play some of their starters, like Tyrese Halliburton didn't play, Pascal Siakam didn't play, but Miles Turner played a little bit. Obi Toppin played a little bit. Andrew Nembhard played a little bit. Aaron Nesmith played a little bit. Those guys played in the first half. TJ McConnell played a little bit. Thomas Bryant played a little bit. And yeah, maybe not all of them are going to be. Jarris Walker played 30 plus minutes. Maybe not all of those guys are going to be relied upon for the Pacers in the playoffs, but the Cavs reserves outplayed those guys. And they did, I think, expend a lot of energy in doing so. And then when the Pacers deep reserves got in, they had another gear that the Cavs couldn't get to because I think the Cavs reserves sort of used up all that fuel, all that energy to build a 27-point lead, and then they couldn't handle the ball. Like, they had 21 turnovers, which is really, really bad for any team to have. They had 7 turnovers in the second half, which is quarters 3 and 4. They had 3 more turnovers in the first overtime, and then they had actually no turnovers in the last overtime, but they really struggled to take care of the basketball. And those were ultimately the things that undid them. But this result obviously doesn't matter. The Cavs are still the 1 seed. We don't know who they're going to play in the playoffs, but now I think is probably as good of a time as we're going to get between now and the end of the postseason to let's just kind of take a look back and reflect at what this Cavs team has been so far. We're going to do that next right here on Locked On Cavs. Today's show is brought to you by Prize Picks. Basketball, hockey, playoffs heating up. And there's no better way to turn your sports knowledge into real rewards than with Prize Picks, the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy. With Prize Picks, you simply pick more or less on at least 2 player projections, and you're in. You can even combine plays across sports, basketball, hockey, baseball. That's going on too. Plus so much more for your chance to win up to 2,000 times your cash. Maybe you're going to pick Luka Doncic when the Los Angeles Lakers, that still sounds weird to say, are in action next weekend to score more than 28 points, or Jason Tatum when Boston's in action to gather 8 rebounds or more. Over in hockey, some guy named Connor McDavid, is he going to score a goal? Maybe more than a goal? I don't know. Some guy named Austin Matthews, he plays hockey. More than 5 shots on goal? It could happen. I don't know. Don't look to me for that advice, but you can do that on Prize Picks. So download the app today and use code LOCKEDONNBA to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code LOCKEDONNBA, LOCKEDON NBA to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks. Run your game. Today's show also brought to you by Wayfair. Spring is here. It was nice on Sunday. Going to be nice for the most part on Monday as well. That spring weather is making me want to be outside, and maybe it's making you want to be outside more. And if you're going to want to be outside more, you're going to want to be on a nice refurbished backyard. Maybe you want to install some outdoor lighting on that deck of yours so you can enjoy just a little bit more time in the outdoors this spring, summer, and even into the fall. Well, Wayfair is the place to go because they've got things for small updates, like maybe you want to redo the cabinets, to major upgrades like vanities, sinks, or that outdoor lighting that I mentioned. Wayfair has quality products for every budget. They've got free and fast shipping that make it easy, so there's no hauling heavy items from the store to your home. And shopping is seamless, and you'll find exactly what you need to fit your space and style. Wayfair makes home improvement easy. Get started now at wayfair.com. That's WAYFAIR.com. Wayfair, every style, every home. Thank you again for making Locked On Cavs your first listen today and every day. Like I said earlier, you can find the show anywhere you get your podcasts, Apple, Spotify, anywhere else. Drop us a 5-star rating. Leave us a nice review. Be a friend. Tell a friend about Locked On Cavs. Make sure you're subscribed before the playoffs. Make sure a friend is subscribed before the playoffs as well. And make sure you're also subscribed to the Locked On Cavs daily newsletter. It's your one stop for ultimate team and league coverage delivered right to your inbox. And as the playoffs arrive, if you subscribe now, you'll be entered to win either a $2,500 Best Buy gift card to upgrade your Sports Cave setup, a $300 Game Time gift card, and a $200 Fanatics gift card. It's easy and free to enter. Simply subscribe between now and April 30th to be automatically entered to win. You can sign up at LockedOnDaily.com. That is LockedOnDaily.com. And a link, of course, is in this episode description. So the Cavs finished the season 64-18. It is the second best record in franchise history. And I think that this is certainly the most fun regular season that the Cavs have had since that 66 win season back in 2008 and 2009. And that year obviously was in the height of the first LeBron era. I think that this team overall is better. Like, that team had LeBron, and LeBron at that point was better, I think, than anything the Cavs have right now. Like that was, I kind of think, when LeBron was reaching his best player in the world apex, and the Cavs don't have anybody like that. But 1 through 15, 1 through 18, whatever you want to say, like this Cavs team is so much deeper than that Cavs team was. And I think that's something that has made this year more fun because, you know, you can look at when the Cavs won 51 games the first year Donovan was here. And it's just like, oh man, they won 51 games because Donovan Mitchell was freaking awesome all year. And he had to carry a really heavy load for that team. And the Cavs were very clearly trying to figure out how to play with him. And then the 48 wins last year was, I don't think many people had very much fun other than that 17-1 stretch in the middle of the year. It was just kind of a slog of a year. This year has felt unlike either of those things. This has probably been, you know, maybe this feels a little bit more like the Cavs team that went to the play-in and won 44 games the year before Donovan arrived, just in terms of like, oh, this is a lot of fun. Like watching this Cavs team genuinely felt like fun almost every single regular season game. You're never going to have a team that's fun for all 82. The Oklahoma City Thunder were not fun for all 82 games this year. They won 68 games. The 73-9 Warriors were not fun in all 82 games. Like that just doesn't happen. But I think overall, this season, fun is probably the way that I would describe the season. And I don't think that this is a team that overachieved. I don't think it's anything like that. I do think that this is truly a great team that is obviously capable of winning the NBA championship a couple of months from now. And I think that the journey to get there is going to be, you know, remarkable. Like if they do it, it's going to be an incredible journey to get there. And I would, you know, my advice to you would be don't lose sight of that journey. And I think that not losing sight of that journey includes a little bit of reflecting on what the regular season was, because I think there are a couple of things that stand out to me about this year. And there are a few games, some of them big, some of them not. But I think like the first moment that I thought this team was special was probably when the Golden State Warriors came to town. And I think the Cavs at that point were 7 or 8-0, which is a great start, of course. But for the Warriors to come to town, and Golden State had only one loss at that point. And of course, Golden State looks different now than they did then, but Golden State got off to a great start too. That was their second loss of the season. And the first half of that game was, I think, the best half of basketball I've ever seen a team play. They were winning by, I think, 40 or 41 points at halftime over Golden State. And it's just like, oh, this actually, like, this team might be for real. This might not just be a fun story to start the season. This might be a team that is just an absolute buzzsaw and a juggernaut. And I do think that there was, you know, even before the Cavs got to 15-0, when they were like 8, 9, 10, and there was some skepticism. And I do think that that Warriors game removed some of the skepticism nationally about this team, because the Cavs just absolutely beat the brakes off Golden State that night. And yeah, the Warriors came back in the second half, but when a team is leading by 40 at halftime, that's going to tend to happen. The other thing that I look at was kind of that first Boston game. And it probably sounds weird to hear that coming out of my mouth, considering that was a game the Cavs lost. But for them to go into Boston, and I do think at that point, the Cavs were pretty exhausted with the streak. I think that the fact that they were 15-0, the fact that they were getting every team's best shot every single night, was starting to wear on them. And they had played to that point a lot of games in a very short amount of time. Like they had not had back-to-back days off to that point in the season. But going to Boston, being down, I think it was 4 rotation players, because Dean Wade, Isaac Okoro, Karis LeVert, and somebody else did not play in that game. I don't remember who the somebody else was, but somebody else did not play in that game. And that was Boston not at full strength because Kristaps Porzingis wasn't back yet, but the Cavs went toe-to-toe with them in a game that Boston very much wanted to win. They wanted to make a statement there. And I think even in a loss, it was right to feel really good about the Cavs at that point. And then, of course, the other night that I look at, well, I guess 2 other nights, the win against Oklahoma City was probably wire to wire the best game the Cavs played all year. And that was, I think, the best, like, there were better, more competitive finishes or whatnot, but I think that was the best played basketball game in the NBA this year. But like just 2 teams operating at a super high level, I don't think that was matched at all during the regular season. And that was one of those nights where it's like, oh man, we might see 7 of these in June. And we might. Like, I still do feel that would be a remarkable series, despite what happened to the Cavs when they went to Oklahoma City. And then, of course, the game in Boston on February 28th, the final day of February, the Cavs were down 25-3, roughly 5 minutes into that game. And I think that was the biggest moment of the season because the Cavs cared about that game a lot. If you could read Jason Tatum's lips, you knew the Boston Celtics cared about that game a lot. That was a chance for both teams to make a statement, knowing that they wouldn't see each other again from February 28th until the mid to late March if they both get there. But Boston thought they could make a statement, and the Cavs thought they could make a statement too. And I think it was more important because, listen, Boston's been there, done that. They've won a title. Like, it's more important for the Cavs to make that statement in that spot than it is for the Celtics. And for the Cavs to struggle as bad as they did early and then come back and win that game in the fashion in which they did, where after the first 5 minutes, they absolutely dominated Boston. And I thought that was really important to do it in that building too, to prove to the world that, yes, Boston can win in Cleveland. They can win a playoff game in Cleveland, but to prove to the world that, hey, the Cavs can win a playoff game inside TD Garden in Boston too. And that Donovan Mitchell had 40 plus points, that Evan Mobley hit some big shots in the fourth quarter, that Darius Garland hit kind of a dagger shot in that fourth quarter too. The fact that it was all of those guys contributing to the success down the stretch of that game, I think I look at that as saying something, okay, that was really important for that team. And that's a moment that I'm going to look back at is, when we get to the end of the season, whether it's in, the end of June or before that, if the Cavs don't get to the finals, I think that those are kind of the moments that we should probably look at before the postseason starts. And of course, there will be bigger moments than all of those things in the playoffs because that's how these things work. The postseason moments are more important. But I think those are going to be some of the moments that we look at and say, you know what? This team was a really, really special team. They still obviously have a lot left to accomplish, but I just think that as the postseason grows near, and a week from right now, we'll be talking about whether the Cavs won, most likely, or lost game 1 against whoever they play in the first round of the playoffs. But I just think it's worth thinking about what a fun regular season this was and some of the really great moments that came out of this. Now, what are the expectations for the postseason? I think you know what they are, but what are the expectations for Donovan Mitchell? Because we got an update from him, or about him, I should say, prior to the game on Sunday. We're going to talk about what Kenny Atkinson had to say there, what we saw from Donovan on Sunday before the game, and what it all means moving forward. We're going to do that next right here on Locked On Cavs. Today's show is brought to you by FanDuel. The NBA playoffs almost here. So close you can taste it. The play-in almost here. That'll be tomorrow on FanDuel, giving new customers an incredible way to get in on the action. Because right now, when you join FanDuel and you place your first $5 bet, you'll get $250 in bonus bets if that first $5 bet wins. FanDuel already does have some spreads up on. They have series odds for the series that are set. Of course, the Cavs series not set yet. We will find out who they will be playing on Friday. We've got lines for the play-in games as well. The Cavs are going to play one of the Hawks, Magic, Heat, or Bulls. Orlando favored by 5 points in the 7-8 game that will take place tomorrow. Chicago favored by 1 point over Miami in the 9-10 that is set for Wednesday night. We don't know who is going to come out and be the Cavs opponent, but they also, you can bet. Do you think the Milwaukee Bucks are going to be able to get by the Indiana Pacers in the first round? Well, the Bucks are plus 190 underdogs on FanDuel. Pacers favored in that series, minus 230. The other East series that's set, New York Knicks, minus 390 favorites. Very heavy favorites over Detroit. I might like the underdog in that one, but FanDuel's got so much from player props, game spreads, series odds. They've got it all. So head on over to FanDuel. That is FanDuel.com today and claim your $250 in bonus bets. Again, just win that first $5 bet with FanDuel, and $250 in bonus bets are yours. Sign up today at FanDuel.com or download the FanDuel Sportsbook app. FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Thank you again for making Locked On Cavs your first listen today and every day. Like I said earlier, if you're watching the show on YouTube, do me a favor, hit that thumbs up button for me, click subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss the latest Locked On Cavs content. Donovan Mitchell, of course, did not play in this game on Sunday, as none of the starters did for the Cavs. I mean, all 10 guys that are part of the rotation sat in this game, essentially. Jared Allen, of course, 41 seconds, but everyone sat in this game. Kenny Atkinson, prior to this game, was asked about Donovan Mitchell and just where his injury is at. Of course, he's not played in the last week because of that ankle sprain that he suffered against the Sacramento Kings. And he was asked just where is Donovan at physically? What is going on with him right now? And Kenny said essentially that he will be full go in practice this week, which is a really good sign, because for the Cavs to get to where they want to get to, which, as you know, is winning an NBA championship, they need Donovan Mitchell to be Donovan Mitchell. So practice this week. The Cavs are probably going to practice, I would guess, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. They'll probably do something on Saturday, like walkthrough, because that's at the point they'll know their opponent. They are in a bit of a pinch here. And it's not as if they have some disadvantage. Like, they're the 1 seed. They should beat whoever the 8 seed is. It should not be a close series. But they don't have time on their side in terms of preparing for their first round opponent. Like, they'll find out Friday night who the 8 seed is and have to turn around less than 48 hours from them, most likely, and tip off a game 1 against them in Cleveland. Of course, that's a bigger disadvantage for the 8 seed because they have to go to Cleveland and play the best team in the East on short rest, while the Cavs are well rested, which I think is, the number one thing everybody brings up about a playoff run for the Cavs is health. They all say, we're healthy, and that's kind of all you can ask for. And I do think that they are right when they say that, but Donovan Mitchell is among the people that are healthy. And before the game on Sunday, he went through, I thought, a pretty probably strenuous is the right word to describe the workout that he went through. It wasn't like the most explosive or extreme workout I've ever seen, but he was on the floor around his normal warm-up time. And of course, like, warm-ups were just so much different because of who was in and who was out. But he went through a workout that was approximately a half hour with associate head coach Johnny Bryant. And Johnny is the one that, when Donovan plays, is the guy that puts him through his pregame warm-up. This was a different workout than the one Donovan normally does. Like, the guys in the NBA, if you're around enough, you notice that their pregame warm-ups often look the same. Like, they are very much creatures of habit, and they do the same thing for pregame warmups just about every game. This was very different than what Donovan normally does. There was a lot of, I thought that this was probably more of a conditioned based workout. Like, he did some dribbling drills. He did some, some mid-range shooting and stuff like that. Was kind of easy to ease his way into it, but there was a lot of running back and forth across the court. I put up a video of him going through some of this over on my Twitter at Real D Cunningham, if you want to go check this out. But I thought Donovan looked pretty good. He was not favoring that left ankle at all. He was, any cuts that he was making looked normal. The best thing I can say about it is he looked like Donovan Mitchell, and that is what matters most to the Cavs right now. It's health. For them to say that health matters more than anything, and it does, and they're correct in that. Donovan Mitchell is the biggest part of that equation, and I thought that we saw him looking really, really good. Now, as far as who they're going to play, we obviously don't know who the 8 seed is going to be. We're going to spend a lot of time this week looking at what that could look like. So like Wednesday's episode will probably include a little bit of talk about the play-in game between who loses the 7-8 game. And then Thursday's episode is going to talk about looking ahead to the last play-in game. So that's what this week is going to look like, because the Cavs don't know. But this is a week where they have a big opportunity to not get healthy, because they are healthy, but get rested and get refreshed. And for some guys on the team, like for Sam Merrill and DeAndre Hunter and Ty Jerome, they will go from Thursday in Indy until next Sunday between playing in a game. Donovan Mitchell is going to go 2 weeks between playing in basketball games. And yes, the Cavs will have some, I think, high intensity practices, some scrimmages during this week where they will ramp it up and keep guys in shape, and that stuff matters. But overall, we should see a group that looks really fresh, and any concerns that were had about the Cavs over the last month or so, like shooting and rebounding and stuff like that, I think those things go away a little bit when teams are not nearly as fatigued as the Cavs were. This is a really good opportunity for them to hit the reset button and be ready to go when the postseason gets here a week from now. Like I said, this week is going to be a lot of looking ahead to what the playoffs might bring. So tomorrow I'm going to be talking with Carter Rodriguez from the Chase Down. He's supposed to join tomorrow's show. We're going to talk a lot about, maybe a little bit about the season that was, but certainly more about what is upcoming for the Cavs. So you don't want to miss that episode. You don't want to miss any episodes this week. I'm trying to wrangle in a very important guest. We'll see if that happens, but make sure you're subscribed wherever you get your podcasts. And thank you for making Locked On Cavs your first listen today and every day. Like I said earlier, you can find the show anywhere you get your podcasts, Apple, Spotify, anywhere else. Drop us a 5-star rating. Leave us a nice review. Be a friend. Tell a friend about Locked On Cavs. Make sure you're subscribed. Make sure a friend is subscribed as well. As the playoffs arrive, you need the Cavs content. I've got the Cavs content for you. And if you're watching on YouTube, as we get out of here, do me a favor, hit that thumbs up button for me, click subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss the latest Locked On Cavs content. I'll be back tomorrow talking more about playoff basketball.